Hello, and welcome to the first virtual open house for the Minnesota Street Reconstruction Project. My name is Anna Potter. I am a transportation planner in the Public Works Department of the City of St. Paul. I will be leading the concept design work on the Minnesota Street Reconstruction Project, and I truly appreciate you taking the time to learn more about that project today. Today's virtual open house has three general parts. First, I will review the project background, including the location, timing, needs, scope, schedule, and goals. Next, I'll review some existing conditions so that we're all on the same page with how the corridor is designed and used today. Finally, I will talk about next steps and how you can remain involved through the design process. We want to make sure it's clear what it is we're looking for feedback on. You can give us feedback on anything, but in this presentation, you'll see this red icon on the screen. This icon indicates that this topic in particular needs your feedback to progress the design. So with that, let's review the project background. The St. Paul Public Works Department plans to reconstruct Minnesota Street downtown from Kellogg Boulevard on the south to 11th Street on the north. The project is anticipated to be completed in two phases. The southern blocks between Kellogg Boulevard and 5th Street are slated for construction in 2023, and the northern blocks between 5th Street and 11th Street are slated for construction in 2024. The primary need for this project is to address the issues we see in the photo on the screen, such as trip hazards, poor pavement condition, and ineffective curb and gutters. Minnesota Street has had many patchwork improvements over the years. You can see many of them in this photo, but it hasn't been comprehensively improved for more than 50 years. To fix those sidewalk and pavement issues, Minnesota Street has been scoped as a full reconstruction project. To be absolutely clear, reconstruction means a full removal and replacement of everything within the right-of-way, including the sidewalks and pedestrian zone, curb and gutter, travel lanes and traffic signals, and underground utilities. Our anticipated schedule for the Minnesota Street project is shown graphically on this slide. For the duration of 2021, concept design and preliminary engineering will be underway. The concept design process will include three phases of public engagement. In the first round of engagement, which is where we are now, we will be setting goals and identifying opportunities. In the second round, we will be evaluating the realm of possibilities, and in the third round, we will be refining the design and setting our team up well for the final design process, which will happen for the remainder of 2022. Following final design, we anticipate two bid and construction phases, one in 2023 and one in 2024. One question I frequently get is, what do we mean by concept design? I think of it as the basic street design and its overall implications. Specifically, over the next year, while in concept design, we will be working towards an agreed upon cross-section and curbside uses, and a stormwater and utility strategy. Once we have those things, we can move on to final design, which we hope to do in early 2022. Public Works has developed 6 goals for this project, each of which I will discuss in more detail. As I do that, think about what your goals might be for this corridor and whether we missed anything that you want us to include. I'd encourage you to take our project survey to give us that feedback early in the design process, as I'm hoping through this process we can develop goals that also reflect community priorities. You can click the link on this slide to go directly to the project survey, or you can always find it at our project website, which will be linked at the end of this presentation. The first Public Works goal for Minnesota Street is to improve safety for all users. What we mean by that is removing walking hazards and streamlining pedestrian connections first and foremost, and designing the street to encourage safe travel speeds. This goal was pulled from our 2040 Comprehensive Plan, St. Paul for All. Policy T-9 is to design rights of way for all users, including older people, children, and those with mobility constraints. The second Public Works goal for Minnesota Street is to implement a bikeway connection. Minnesota Street is a minor corridor in the Capital City Bikeway Network, So as we reconstruct the street, we want to take this opportunity to include a bicycle facility consistent with that plan. Doing so will also help the city meet the mode shift goals within the 2040 Comprehensive Plan and the St. Paul Climate Action and Resilience Plan. The third public works goal for Minnesota Street is to improve the transit user experience downtown. There's a lot of transit infrastructure on Minnesota Street today. The intent of this goal is to ensure that we are leveraging that transit infrastructure as effectively as we can. Being effective with transit infrastructure will improve the transit experience, both for transit users on Minnesota Street and throughout downtown. To ensure we are leveraging our transit infrastructure effectively, we will be evaluating transit infrastructure on Minnesota Street and right-sizing it to meet the needs of current and future users. We will also be considering transit revisions, such as route modifications, bus stop enhancement or consolidation, and transit lane conversion. These actions are supported by two initiatives from the Climate Action and Resilience Plan, both of which are shown on the screen. The fourth public works goal for Minnesota Street is to modernize the aging infrastructure. What we'd like to do with this goal is improve the pavement and sidewalk condition, streamline utility access points and networks, consider capacity for future utility needs and expansion, and consider public charging infrastructure and new curbside uses in our design. This goal is consistent with policy T-43 in the comprehensive plan, which encourages the city to account for changing vehicle technologies and forms of use. The fifth public works goal for the Minnesota Street project is to create a resilient and people-oriented corridor. What we'd like to do with this goal is reduce impervious surfaces and increase green surfaces. We'd like to consider street activation techniques that bring life to the corridor and ultimately design a street with a sustainable maintenance plan. That last element of this goal is really important because we need to think 50 years out with this design. A corridor that looks great on day one, but cannot be maintained in a fiscally responsible way, really can't qualify as resilient in my mind. All these strategies, everything from green surfaces to easy maintenance, they're based on policies in the 2040 Comprehensive Plan and the Climate Action and Resilience Plan, such as policy T-35, which is shown on your screen. The last public works goal for the Minnesota Street project is to support the evolving needs of downtown users. This goal is a recognition of the time in which we are delivering this project. COVID-19 has upended all of our lives, has forced us to do virtual engagement like this presentation now. But downtown in particular has experienced huge transportation changes as a result of social distancing and remote work policies. As we progress with the design, we will want to reflect the changing uses and needs of downtown users and businesses and partner with downtown stakeholders to deliver the project in a way that supports downtown health. Now that we've reviewed what we are trying to achieve, I'd like to take a few moments to review the existing conditions and make sure we have a general understanding of where we're starting from. Minnesota Street today is classified as a municipal state aid street and a collector roadway. It has a 25-mile-per-hour speed limit. Pre-COVID, the traffic volumes were relatively low. They varied between 2,600 vehicles per day to 4,800 vehicles per day. Some of the cross streets have significantly higher traffic volumes as shown in this graphic. The details here are important for engineering design parameters, and so we can understand roughly how many people have historically been accommodated by vehicle on these and the nearby corridors. Generally, the right-of-way is 60 feet along the corridor. The space between the curbs currently includes 2 northbound general purpose lanes and 2 additional curbside lanes. The use of these curbside lanes varies throughout the corridor between on-street parking, as shown in this photo, a loading zone, or a transit lane. How we use the curb in the future is one of the items we are looking for feedback on. What street features are important to you? I encourage you to take our project survey to answer this question. This graphic shows the right-of-way in a more graphical format than the photo we were just looking at. Here we are looking at the block between Kellogg Boulevard and 4th Street. We still have 2 northbound travel lanes, but this block has a bus stop and a loading zone instead of on-street parking. As I said earlier, the curbside lane use varies throughout the corridor. This chart and map quantifies these uses. About half of the south or the west side of the street, which is left as you're moving north, is on-street parking. A fifth, or 17%, is dedicated to loading zones, and under a third, or 32%, is driveways. On the north, or east side of the street, which is on the right-hand side of the street as you move north, those same uses exist, but in smaller quantities. This is because this side of the street also has 5 blocks of a transit and right turn only lane. That designation takes up about half of the front of curb use on the right-hand side of the street. An example of that transit lane is shown here, between 5th and 6th Street. This location has the highest bus ridership on Minnesota Street, with 367 daily boardings pre-COVID. We will want to pay close attention to the transit design here in particular because of this large number of users. This high ridership is likely a function of its proximity to the Green Line Central Station and the transfer opportunity to the many east-west routes on 5th and 6th Street. Speaking of 5th Street, here you can see several images of the Central Station and the public realm surrounding it. As we progress in the design process, we want to know, how do you use the area near Central Station? And what, if anything, would you change? Outside of the Central Station, today there are in total 4 bus stops and 2 bus routes that operate on Minnesota Street, the Route 3 and the Route 16. In order to get the transit infrastructure right, we want to know from the Route 3 downtown riders, what is your destination? And is there anything you would improve about riding the bus on Minnesota Street? Similarly, we want to know from the Route 16 riders, what is your destination downtown? And is there anything you would improve about riding the bus on Minnesota Street? One final condition I wanted to share with you is the fact that Minnesota Street is not being reconstructed in a silo. Over the next few years, several other nearby corridors are also being improved, and this presents a great opportunity for collaboration and improved network functionality. There are 6 projects that we will be in contact with to make sure we are not missing any opportunities. Wabasha Street will be improved in 2022. Kellogg Boulevard will add a Capital City Bikeway network connection in 2023. Robert Street will be improved starting in 2025. And 2 adjacent real estate projects have the potential to greatly impact right-of-way use and access. The Pedro Park / Public Safety Annex opportunity at 10th Street and the Central Station opportunity at 5th Street. I'll end today with a few next steps. Today we've talked about some lofty goals and identified potential improvements on Minnesota Street. Achieving those project goals will require some trade-offs. We ask that you help us include the right balance of trade-offs by letting us know what your priorities are now and staying involved through the concept design process. With each phase of engagement, we will have more opportunities to get involved and dig into the design details so that we can get that design balanced correctly. There are 4 ways you can get involved. You can visit the project website for the most current information. That website is stpaul.gov/Minnesota Street. You can take our project survey to share your ideas and priorities. The survey is linked in this presentation and is available at the project website. The survey will close on May 31st, 2021. You can sign up for project updates at the project website. As I said before, there are going to be more ways to give feedback in the coming months. Sign up now to get a notification of these opportunities. And finally, you can always contact me with questions. Thank you for your time today. My contact information, as well as a link to the Minnesota Street Project website, is on the screen. Have a great rest of your day.